all things to take into consideration when you're thinking of bringing a dog home. If you're going to get a dog to just simply live on the patio of your condo, maybe get a fish. It's not a fun thing to say, but I feel like it's true.
Get a houseplant, you know? Those are fun.
I feel like I would have better luck with a goldfish than some of the houseplants that I may or may not have killed.
Oh, gosh. Welcome, dog moms and dads, to our show, where we discuss the everyday joys and challenges of pet parenting. I'm your host, Jen.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is the Dog Mom Podcast presented by ZippyPaws.
Yeah.
So what are we talking today? We are talking...
I feel like we have our Dayquil on hand for the puppy flu. We know it's a thing. This is part 2, right? So we've talked about the trials and tribulations in a very broad sense. And we got a lot of great feedback from everybody, but they were asking a lot more questions. So we figured we'd do kind of a basics on bringing puppies home. I think a lot of this will work for bringing a dog home as well, but I will add a personal disclaimer for myself in saying that I have not brought home a fully grown dog. I have experience as it relates to puppies. I think that's kind of an important thing to disclose. And you as well, right? You have a lot of puppy experience.
Yes, I've brought 2 puppies home. One when I was a preteen, so my parents did a lot of the hard stuff. But Birdie is my first puppy that I brought home myself. And I guess I had some experience integrating Kramer into my lifestyle, but he's so easy. He doesn't even count.
Kramer counts.
He does. He's a sweetheart. So it was so easy because he's so chill and he's so adaptable that he's okay with everything. So it wasn't really hard getting Kramer assimilated to our house. And he was, I think, 7 or 8 at the time.
I wish I could say it was as easy acclimating my cats, but that would be a lie.
Yeah, so we'll be discussing all the basics of bringing a dog home, some things to think about before getting a dog and seeing if a dog is right for you and your family at this time, and also what to expect when you bring a puppy home for the first time.
Yeah, and we have external insight into this as well. We actually broached this within our company, and it elicited really good conversation. I think there are a lot of speaking points that that are pretty common, but also some that I didn't necessarily think about. So we'll cover those as well.
Yeah, some of the problems that people have said, I can definitely relate, and some of them that, I just never encountered personally. So we'll go through all of those topics, and hopefully it'll help.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
So before getting a dog, the first thing that I recommend is always do your research. Research. You can research anything that you want, of course, on Google. So figure out which breeds are the best for your family and lifestyle. I think a lot of us really gravitate towards 1 or 2 breeds that we really love because they're just so dang cute. I think when I was growing up, I always printed out like pictures of golden retrievers and then had them as my desktop background. So I knew I loved Goldens from a very, very young age. So I don't know about you, Ashley. Did you ever do that?
It's really funny because I loved all the bully breeds. I loved pit bulls. I love Rottweilers. They're just amazing. And I ended up with a golden retriever, which is kind of ironic. And I love Goldens now. I feel like I've joined that club. But yeah, I knew growing up that I loved big dogs and I loved the bully breeds. But to your point, when I got Stella, I was living in an apartment and I couldn't have a bully breed in an apartment. So that kind of encompasses that research that you were talking about.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes if you, for example, you love pit bulls, but a lot of apartment complexes don't allow you to have bully breeds such as pit bulls or Rottweilers or even Huskies. So that may be something in the future, right? But currently, that might not be the best pick for you. So definitely do your research. And if you live in you have a landlord, you should definitely ask your landlord to see which types of dogs that you can or you're allowed to have. And for ZippyPaws too, there are certain breeds that we can't allow into our building just because of our insurance policy, and that's not something that we can change, right? So if you want to bring your dog into your workplace, you should definitely see which ones are not allowed to come in.
Exactly. And I think taking it one step further as well, you need to take into consideration the type of lifestyle that you have and the type of lifestyle that you expect to maintain. We had wanted to rescue an older dog, but it was the first time that either of our cats had been introduced to a dog, and we were concerned that any dog that we rescued might have either a prey drive or might not be necessarily great with cats. And that was not something we wanted to introduce them to the first time. So we went with a younger dog. Obviously, Bjorn was a puppy when we got him because we could really teach him as he grew to be kind to the cats and to be gentle with the cats. And sometimes it's not saying that a rescue dog is untrainable. It's just a lot harder. So we were trying to reduce the amount of stress all around.
Right. I think doing the research beforehand just kind of minimizes the amount of headache that you might encounter later on. So that's why we always encourage people to do your research. And you have a breed that you really like, try to engage with those dogs too and see if you really like their personality. Because I know a lot of Shibas are very independent. They like their space. And, my dog is completely opposite. She always wants to sleep on me. So if you're somebody who likes to have an independent dog with you, then you might want to look into those type of dogs and not a golden retriever.
Yeah. And if you don't like hair everywhere, a golden retriever is also probably not the best bet, or a German shepherd. Bjorn is both, and we have hair everywhere.
Yeah. I think hair just comes with the territory of owning a pet, though. So
Except for perfect Kramer, who on
that
top
is
of just
true.
being utter perfection doesn't shed. So
He's just perfection personified in a dog.
he really is.
He is.
But I think those are all good points to consider. Also lifestyle, right? In terms of research, what type of lifestyle you have. If you are living in an apartment, you probably don't want a high energy dog. That's not to say you need to necessarily get a small dog. There are huge breeds that are known as condo dogs, essentially, that like to be couch potatoes. But you need to think about, this is going to be a member of your family. So if you have a beautiful, immaculate house that you don't want getting messed up, you probably honestly shouldn't get a dog in the first place. We have a neighbor a couple houses down from us who has a beautiful Rottweiler puppy. And I mean, like, I'm very, very jealous of this puppy. So, so cute. I have never seen that dog inside her house. We walk Bjorn 3 times a day, and this dog lives on the patio. There are times when he's leashed up on the patio, and I've considered calling animal control. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but as it warms up, maybe. But it kind of begs the question, why do you have a dog, right? So all things to take into consideration when you're thinking of bringing a dog home. If you're going to get a dog to just simply live on the patio of your condo, maybe get a fish. It's not a fun thing to say, but I feel like it's true.
Get a house plant, Those are fun.
I feel like I would have better luck with a goldfish than some of the houseplants that I may or may not have killed.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, doing your research to find a dog that fits you and your family is for your own peace of mind as well as the animal's well-being, right? We want to find our next family member, so definitely do your research and really think about how that pet is going to ingrain and enmesh in your daily lifestyle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've done your research. What's the next step?
I wrote, you have to be mentally prepared.
This is all you, because I feel like I was not prepared when we brought Bjorn home.
Yeah, I mean, my first dog, my parents just, it was like a Wednesday evening, and then my parents just like said, hey, let's get in the car, let's bring some blankets, we're gonna go get this dog. Because I've been asking, begging, pleading for a dog for maybe 10 years at that point. So it was kind of a, for me at least, very sudden. Maybe my parents spent months being mentally prepared, I don't know. But with Birdie, we definitely really thought about what was the best time for us. I mean, we've had, at the time that we were thinking of getting another dog, we've owned a house for about a year, and we have a yard for them. And Kramer was at like a good time for him to get a buddy. And, you know, my husband and I, at the time, we were engaged. I think we were engaged. I can't remember.
I think you were engaged, yeah.
Yeah, right. So it was, you know, things were stable. We were on the track to getting married. So I knew he wasn't going to leave anytime soon. So I think that was like a really good time for us. So we definitely we discussed this many times about when we should get a dog and what kind of dog we should have and who gets to pick the next dog. Was it me or him? So that was like our biggest argument. And I won, of course.
My story was the exact opposite. I think mentally, I had raised Stella, so I knew exactly what it was going to entail. And when Nico and I decided that we were going to get a dog, he wanted a puppy. And again, I had wanted an older dog. We eventually came up with the idea that it was probably better to get a puppy for the cats, but Nico really wanted a puppy. And I do think it's important for everyone to have that experience at least once. So I acquiesced and we got Bjorn, but I think you can be prepared. I don't think anyone has any idea until you're actually thrust into it exactly what it entails, though.
Right. And each dog is different too. You can have an absolute angel, or you can have, you know, the opposite for a few weeks. So so yeah, it's definitely an experience to have. And I don't know, it's been a while, so I think I want to do the puppy thing again sometime, you know, in the future. I'm not saying never.
Yeah, I don't foresee puppies in my immediate future. I mean, we have a dog on the way, if you will, who's not a puppy, but I think after her, that's it for us for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot that I think as long as you're aware it's going to happen, you're in a good spot. I mean, you're not going to sleep very often. They are very, very needy. You have no idea what they need half the time, but they need something. And you also have to take into consideration that the puppy or dog that you're bringing home, this is one of those situations that applies to any animal that you bring in, is going to take time to adjust. They need to be mentally prepared as much as you do, but they can't be because they're really just thrust into it, and you need to take that into consideration. So I would say prepare to be patient. Yes,
patience is your best friend. And I wrote down that I'm estimating about 4 to 6 months of the dog taking a part of a huge part of your daily lives, whether that's training or you not being able to go out for hours at a time. I mean, it's easy now because we're mostly staying at home, but before that, we can't really go out for long dinners with friends or go to a concert on the weekends. So we really have to change our schedules and let our friends know that we're going to be MIA for a few months. And, you know, but we can take them out on hiking trips or something like that. So we just have to adjust our lifestyle for a few months to accommodate bringing the puppy home and really acclimating her and setting her up for success.
Exactly. And that was something that one of our team members, Ileana, said as well, is realizing how much it affects every aspect of your life, from travel, if you have kids, bills, time, future planning. They become a part of your family. And it's essentially like having a four-legged furry child.
Yeah, it
For,
definitely is.
for a like crude comparison. I wouldn't say they're identical, but
Yeah. And for puppies, I think we should definitely plan for 2 to 7 sleepless nights. What do you think in the beginning?
it felt like 2 to
It felt
7 months.
yeah, in the beginning when we got Birdie, she was 8 weeks old, so she had to get up the first day or two. She had to get up every hour to potty, and at night it was every 2 hours.
Yeah, we set alarms with Bjorn initially because Nico is a very heavy sleeper and I am a very paranoid light sleeper. So we set alarms. Well, I set an alarm to make sure that he woke up with me when Bjorn had to go out, but we took turns. I can't say too many bad things about potty training, and this is going to be very unfair, I'm sure, for a lot of people listening. Both Stella and Bjorn were potty trained in about a weekend. They were
gosh.
two very different dogs with two very different situations. I was living in an apartment when I had Stella, but I spent a lot of time at my mom's home. She had a beautiful backyard and it was much, much easier. She was potty trained easily the first or second week that we had her through nothing of my own. We worked with her, but she was just very quick, very smart. Mm-hmm. And then Bjorn was potty trained from our 3rd-story 1-bedroom apartment, which was a little bit more of a headache, but he was potty trained probably in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, where he understood. He knew that he needed to tell me if he had to go out. I did try to get there before him, where I was just taking him out on a schedule, but potty training was the least difficult thing for me for both of my puppies, knock on wood, because I'm sure I'm going to jinx myself and the next dog we have come in is going to be a nightmare. But we were prepared for the absolute worst, and I could count on one hand how many accidents he's had, and that's including when he's been sick.
Yeah, and I don't even remember Bjorn having any accidents at the office when he was there.
Oh, he had one. He had one when he was very, very sick. We thought he had Giardia, honestly, for this one, but that was his one accident, and he made it over a year without having one in the office.
Yeah, for sure. He was
Birdie was good too, though.
No. I heard that Kramer was super easy to train. So I'm kind of jealous, but Birdie, she was like 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of training with her, where the first few weeks, I think 2 weeks, I thought we had her fully potty trained, but then like the week after, she would just potty inside the house for no reason after coming in from outside. So I think it's just a matter of like when they're small, they can't really control their bladders too much, or they just don't know that they really need to go and they just end up doing it, and they don't have that self-control yet. So I can't really blame her.
And I think that regression is common.
Yes. So it's not going to be where she has, 1 accident a day to 1 accident every 2 days and then to every 3 days. Like, that's not how it works. Sometimes she will have 3 days with no accidents, and then she'll like have a massive poop in the hallway for no reason. And then she'll be good for another 4 days, and then she'll pee on the rug. So it was definitely hard.
It's just a good example of how every dog is different, and not to be upset when it does happen. I also do remember Bjorn had a period. The only accidents that he had in our house were really after he was potty trained, and then he hit like the terrible 2s of the dog world, I guess, where he started kind of challenging his boundaries and trying to figure out what he could and couldn't do. And we were able to catch him in the act, or right before, because he had that look. Bjorn has he has the sweetest face, but when he is about to do something bad, and he just has this rotten look on his face. So we would always usually catch him and say no and scoop him up and take him outside. Yeah. But he did go through that. And I remember talking about that with Justin, our director of operations, and he said he had the same issue with some of his puppies, but also with children as well. So they're just getting to that point where they're pushing boundaries, trying to see what they can get away with.
Right. I think with Birdie, it was about like 9 or 10 months where she got into that teenager phase. Like she knew what was right and wrong, but she still wanted to do the wrong things to see what she can get away with.
So taking potty training and the inevitability of accidents into consideration, it's very important to puppy proof your home. I think that is something that I was not good at. I absolutely was not good at, and it came back and bit me a little bit. Bjorn has been very, very good for the most part about not getting into things. He doesn't tear up carpet, which, well, I take that back. No, that is not true. He did tear up a piece of carpet in our first apartment and learned very quickly that that is not what you're supposed to do. But he's been pretty good about not being terribly destructive. I, on the other hand, am not good about putting my shoes away. Mm-hmm. And it's usually my expensive shoes that I don't put away. And here's a PSA for everybody out there. You cannot get mad at a dog for chewing something that you leave right next to his chew toy. I'm going to call myself out for that one for sure. But it's a good reminder. I should be cleaner than that. But you come in, you toss stuff. Keep in mind that a dog doesn't really know the difference. I think Bjorn has learned, but shoes especially, I have those furry loafers and suede shoes.
Like toys, yeah.
They look like toys. My suede heels end up looking like his rawhide. They have a very similar texture. I'm not even gonna lie. And he nabs it. But so put your stuff away.
Basically, put away all loose items at the eye level of a curious dog. Things like electric cords, toxic plants, stuffed animals that you don't want your dogs to get into, shoes. Just take away all those distractions as much as possible. But then again, I didn't really clean up too much because I didn't want to force myself to be even tidier than I am, and it's already unnatural. So I just left things out. Like with plants, I just left it out because I know our lifestyle and I know our household, like we're not going to have no plants in the house. That's just not possible. So I just made a conscious decision to not remove those and just help Birdie realize that these are things that she should not be getting into. But in the beginning, when she was younger, she was in a crate every time we left. So she couldn't get into any of the plants. But as she got older, I let her kind of roam the house when we left, and she's definitely likes to eat soil and she likes to pull up plants. So she's done that a few times. But I think just with us working with her, and every time she got close to it, we just told her no. And she just knows now that these are things that she shouldn't be going into, and she never touches that anymore.
Exactly. I think you have to, as you've said before, use things as a learning opportunity. Just because you're moving things out of the line of a very destructive puppy doesn't mean you can stop supervising them at the same time. You still have to be cognizant of what they're doing pretty much at any given moment until they reach a certain age. It's not, oh, I'm going to put something on this shelf. I don't have to look at my dog anymore. Because trust me, they will find something. They will find the one piece of something that you missed, and that will be your downfall.
Yeah, I think with Birdie, it was definitely plants and soil, because we would come home and there would be tufts of soil on our white carpet, our white rug. And she just, we call it her beak, but her snoot is like completely soiled.
Oh, no.
And she just has like a look where it's like, look what I did, But I have to say that she was pretty good with not destroying anything. We've never had a piece of furniture that was destroyed. She never got into my shoes or anything. She just has no interest. So what can you say? She would take a poop in the middle of the house, but she would not chew up anything. So I guess I got lucky there.
It's give and take. But I do think that this is a good opportunity. We haven't actually really done this on the show to this point, I do not believe. But, you create dog toys. You create dog toys specifically for puppies that are curious and teething. Is there one that you recommend for puppies?
Yeah, let's segue into our first product break.
Yeah.
So a toy that I designed specifically for teething puppies is called the ZippyPaws Teethers.
Finally, a match for those sharp puppy teeth. Zippy Tough Teethers are ideal for puppies to chew on, but are great for dogs of all ages. Made with flexible yet durable TPR material, this toy is fun for chewing, fetching, and playing tug of war. And they're really flipping cute.
Yeah, so when I designed these, I took inspiration from a lot of the baby teethers that were on the market. They were made with non-toxic materials that, you could feel safe letting your baby put them in their mouth. So I used a very soft TPR material. TPR means thermoplastic rubber, which is a mix between plastic and rubber. It's very durable and soft, so it allows the sharp puppy teeth to kind of bite into the material and also bounce back. So sometimes you'll see a couple of teeth marks on the toy, but after a while, they go away because just of the material. And we also have some cotton rope with the toy. So, puppies really love to chew on rope, and, it's just like fun for them.
I also think it's worth pointing out that even as puppies, there are different levels of chewers. So there will be some puppies that really use those razor sharp teeth and destroy everything that is inevitable. And then there are some puppies that just chew ever so slightly.
Yes, for sure. And these are made for puppies that are big chewers, so they can withstand some really sharp puppy teeth. And this year we're going to come out with Halloween and Christmas designs too, so
I can't wait for that. Is Bjorn too old for a puppy teether?
I don't think so. I mean, they're made for puppies, but dogs of any age can play with them.
So a lot of our followers have reached out to us for our own personal tips and tricks, and I think it's really easy to do a quick Google search and you get those puppy checklists, right? Where they give you this laundry list of things to do, but there aren't usually a lot of personalized applications of those rules. They're all pretty simple, but sometimes it's harder than others. And then they don't tell you the little life hacks, like the in and out secret menus of being a dog mom with a puppy. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to share some of ours and what we've done in raising our puppies. Another disclaimer, this one's full of a lot of disclaimers. All of my tips and tricks are based solely on my experiences, and also notably with a puppy. I would say some of these, especially one of the first ones that is important to me that I'm going to talk about, I would not recommend trying with a shelter dog where you don't know their history. So always consult a vet. I think that's probably the best advice that you can get across the board. But consult a vet and they can recommend behavioralists, they can recommend trainers that are more tailored to you. These are just things that we've done that have worked for us. But one thing that drives me crazy in any dog, really, it's a personal thing, are dogs that are possessive and dogs that snatch. So with both Stella and Bjorn, I gave them toys. I would not give them toys until they learned to take it gently. And you'd be really surprised at how patient a dog will be when they want something that you have. So teaching them to take it gently, but also once they have the toys, taking them away. It sounds really mean and it looks really mean. It looks like you're essentially taking candy from a baby, but it helps them from being toy possessive. With Bjorn, I did it with bones. I did it with food. If he was eating, I would put my hands in his bowl. And this is the point. This is the part where if you get a dog from the shelter, absolutely do not do that. Usually they test them for food aggression, but it's not worth the risk. As a puppy, if you got that puppy at a couple weeks old, you're going to learn pretty quickly and they're going to growl, but I wouldn't do it with an older dog. But we did do that with Bjorn. I did that with Stella. And I mean, you've seen it, Jen. Birdie will come and take a toy out of Bjorn's mouth and he just does not care.
Yes. Yeah, and I wanted to offer kind of my own experience where Birdie came into a household where we already had a dog. So we wanted Kramer to feel comfortable as well, right? So we wanted him to know that, he comes first and Birdie comes, last, right? And we had to teach Birdie that too. And, she always had the princess mentality where she gets all the cuddle, she gets all the attention. So we really try to work with her on that. For example, she always finishes her food first and she will want to eat Kramer's food. And Kramer eats a lot slower. He's like maybe 3 or 4 times slower than Birdie does. So we've taught her to stand to the side and not look at Kramer when he's finishing his food because he's very sensitive and he doesn't really like sudden movements or noises when he's eating. So we told her to be quiet and really wait until he was finished. And then when he's finished and he walks away and I give her the okay, she can lick his empty bowl. Right? So
that's impressive.
Yeah, and now she does it because I check on her, right? Sometimes I walk away and I see what she's doing and she waits by the side very patiently, and you can tell on her face that she's trying super, super hard not to look at Kramer. Like she's like doing her hardest not to look at Kramer, and then when he walks away, she kind of like darts her eyes over, but not turn her head, and to see like if he's finished or not. And then I give her the okay, and then she rushes over there to lick his bowl.
She's like, am I clear? Is it okay? Can I do this now?
Yeah, she's like, is it okay? Is it okay? But it's just all about consistency, right? If you want your dog to behave a certain way, you have to coax her and give her really good positive feedback when she does the things that you want to do. I don't want to always be like, no, no, no. I want to say no and then wait for her to do the thing that she's supposed to do and then reward her extravagantly, basically.
Yeah, Goldens love that positive reinforcement.
Yes, they do. They love to make you happy. So, some dogs are reward and attention driven, and some dogs are food driven. So you have to really see what your dog responds to the most and use that as your reward.
Exactly. I think another thing kind of going down our checklist is that you can do at home before you're even allowed to take them out of the house. We'll get to that in a moment, but playing with their ears and feet constantly. Get them so used to it that they don't even notice that you're doing that, and it's going to help you later on when they need to get their nails trimmed, when they have to go to the vet, when they have to get groomed. Brush them regularly as well. It's one of those things that seems kind of trivial but makes absolutely all the difference. Just be super handsy. Obviously don't hurt them, but play with their ears, talk to them while you're doing it. Every once in a while, give them a treat, just so that they become so used to it that it's nothing.
Yeah, I think we got lucky with Birdie and Kramer that they love it and they don't mind it. So, we kind of play pretty rough with them where we would turn her on her side or on her back and hold her down just to let her know that we're in charge, right? It's kind of like
that dominance.
Yeah, like the alpha thing. It's not like I'm trying to hurt you, but it's showing her that we call the shots, right? And there are times when she calls the shots for sure. Like, she didn't want to be crate trained. And, a lot of people do recommend that you crate train your dogs because it's just easier for them and they feel safe. But she refused to be crate trained. So that's one area where she just had the upper hand and there's nothing I can do about it.
It's funny because I didn't crate train Stella. I didn't crate train her at all. I had this preconceived notion that it was inhumane. It wasn't nice. It wasn't fair. Obviously, if they're in a crate for 12, 13 hours a day, it's still inhumane. But with Bjorn, we didn't really have that option because we were in such a small apartment. There were times when I needed him to not be chasing the cats and to do the dishes. And so our vet said, look into crate training, especially in an apartment. It's a good tool to have. And it's also good in the event of a disaster because you know that they're going to hop right into that crate. You can put them in the car and be on your way. So that's also helpful. I could not tell you how wrong my preconceived notions about crate training were. I think when done properly, it gives your dog a place to go. It gives them kind of a safe haven. Bjorn loves his crate. And it's funny because as we continue to go through quarantine and I've been redoing my house, I thought it would be nice to take that big, ugly metal crate out of my master bedroom. And Bjorn is fighting me on it. He's not happy. He keeps laying in the spot. He won't lay on his bed. I put a nice new bed in its place. He will not lay in the bed, but he will lay where the indentation of the crate is.
Oh my gosh.
That's the level of petty that he's at this point. But
he's like, bring it back. I don't care if it's ugly.
What dog wants to be in a crate? And I think it's part of that den mentality as well. They feel like it's comfortable for them. Mm-hmm. So I think it just depends on the dog as well. I can't see Birdie being crated. She's just too much of a free spirit.
She is, and she loves to be in the mix, and she does the best on the bed sleeping with us, actually. She doesn't fight us. She loves to be cuddled until she falls asleep. And she likes having free reign, right? So for her, the crate was just so anxiety inducing that she cried for maybe the whole 8 hours the first day that we tried it with her. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, she didn't stop at all. I had to buy earplugs because I bought a huge container of earplugs, maybe like a pack of like 200 from Amazon, because like we're in it for the long haul, right? But by the second day, third day, we were like, this is not gonna work for her. She's never gonna feel comfortable. And I felt at that time kind of guilty because I've read blogs and I did a lot of research, and people pretty much say that like that's the best way to train your dog, and that's the best way to kind of quote unquote break your dog in the beginning. And I felt kind of like I wasn't a good dog parent because I couldn't get her to do it. But then again, I just had to make the best decision for me. So
yeah, and I think it depends. It depends on the dog. It depends on the family. I think that if Bjorn had shown a lot of adversity to it, we probably wouldn't have done it. He cried maybe the first hour or two just because we didn't have the crate the first couple of nights that we brought him home. He had slept on the bed with us, and then we put him into a crate. It was right next to the bed, but what we did is, because he was a very, very young puppy, he would cry. We would ignore him until he stopped crying, which is torture at the highest level. Mm-hmm. But as soon as he stopped crying, Nico or I would go and lay down on the floor next to him in the crate, and he would fall asleep, and then that kind of helped him acclimate. But I think that it just depends, again, on the dog. I don't think that means you're any less of a dog parent. It just means you're in tune with what your dogs need.
And I had to think about that, right? Like, do I continue torturing my dog in this way? Because I thought she was going to fall asleep in maybe an hour or two, maybe even 3, but she just kept on going. So it was just not sustainable for us. But we used to put her in the crate when we went out, and she would cry too, but not as bad. So we knew that she felt more comfortable being in the crate when we were outside, and maybe over a day or two she got used to it and she wouldn't cry anymore. So it's not that she is averse to being inside a crate, but I think at bedtime she really wants to be with us. So
at least you don't have to look at an ugly metal crate all day.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a plus side for sure.
Yeah, but then there's no more bed space. We have 2 dogs on the bed with us. I only get a sliver. And my legs have to be at like opposite angles because there's a dog sleeping in between my legs.
Bjorn starts out on the bed some of the time because even when he had his crate up, the door was just open. We didn't shut him in his crate.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But he would always start off on the bed and then end up in his crate. He thinks he's a bear. He's living up to his name. So another important one is to start the training and start the etiquette early on. There are obviously some things you can do from your home before they have their shots, and there are some things that have to wait. But I think training, etiquette, and socialization all really kind of roll into one, honestly, when you're looking at it. Teaching them to sit, teaching them not to snatch, etiquette on your end as well when you get a new puppy and you think that they're just the sweetest things in the world. You've waited the proper amount of time before taking them out after they've gotten all of their puppy booster shots and they're ready to take on the world. You also have to remember that not everybody thinks your puppy is cute, right? It's hard for me to fathom, but there are people out there that don't like dogs. So you've got this super cute little golden shepherd puppy that you want to share with the world. And some people just don't find it as cute when they're jumping or when they're barking. And I mean, that's okay. I think that's our job as pet parents, is to train them so they can be enjoyable when they're in public, even for people that don't like dogs. I think those are the best compliments that I've gotten, either from Stella or from Bjorn, when we're going out and people tell me, oh my gosh, your dog is so cute. I don't like dogs, but he's very quiet and I am okay with that. That's the pinnacle of compliments for me.
You're like, I'm going to put that on my resume.
I got to find a way to work it in, but it doesn't come easily. And it's a really tricky balance, especially in the beginning, because you cannot take a brand new puppy out until they have a certain amount of shots. It's not worth the risk. It's not one of those situations where you can say, oh, you know what? They've had 2 out of their 3 parvo shots. I'm just going to risk it and take it out. Found out that we had somebody in our office whose puppy went through parvo, almost didn't survive it. It's one of those situations where it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And before I got Birdie, I didn't really know all the details about the socialization and vaccination. I knew that you couldn't bring a young puppy into public, but I didn't know necessarily why or how should I go about doing it, right? Because a lot of vets, they do recommend, they say that you need to socialize your puppy from 8 weeks to 16 weeks, so from 2 to 4 months. That's a really crucial time period in your puppy's life where they need to be socialized with other dogs, with other humans. They need to be kind of like desensitized to all the things that they can encounter, such as, people with hats or people with sunglasses. So, but how do you really do that when you can't bring them out to public, right? And what does it mean by bringing them out to public? So what I found was that they can't be in public because there might be, they might encounter unvaccinated dogs, or they can encounter, dog pee or poop that have the bacteria such as Giardia or parvo. So, as a regular vaccinated adult dog, they can encounter these diseases and bacteria and be okay. But as a unvaccinated puppy, it's so easy to get these bacteria into their mouths because they're always licking, they're always chewing on something. So it's super easy to take them to a park and then they get something potentially deadly, such as Giardia or parvo. So a way around it is to invite people who have dogs, vaccinated dogs, into your home, and also go over to their house too to socialize your dog.
Very smart. We took Bjorn on little drives too. So he could stick his head out the window. He could smell. He was never let on the ground. Even I had to bring him into the office pretty early on because he got very sick and needed 24-hour supervision. And that was a fun week because I kept him in his crate at work, cleaned the area, and every time he had to go to the bathroom, I carried him up and down the stairs, put him in a very safe little patch, and took him right back up. But
yeah,
we carried him around quite a bit so he could be exposed to different people. It was before the COVID madness, but we still required people to use hand sanitizer before they touched him because we were so scared about him getting parvo. But that's how he was able to socialize. Although I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I think that also came back to bite me a little bit because I now have a 65-pound dog that likes to be carried. Still to this day.
Yeah, in the beginning when we took Kramer on walks, I would put Birdie in a tote bag and I would, wear her on my shoulder so she could enjoy all the benefits of going on a walk without having to put her tiny little paws on the ground.
Didn't you have an actual carrier?
I did have a carrier. I should post that. That is me at peak dog mom status. I can never, recreate that anymore because she's so big now. But I'll definitely post a picture. I had Birdie in a sling on my chest, and I was like walking downtown Pasadena, and everyone was staring at me, taking videos of me. They're like, that lady's crazy.
That's like me carrying Bjorn on my hip. Even when he was a larger puppy, he was still huge, and people just absolutely could not believe.
Oh, gosh.
So that kind of moves us into our next tip / trick / whatever you want to call it. After they have their shots and they can safely go out, take them everywhere. It's not always the easiest. You have to be smart and do your research on where you can take them, but absolutely take them everywhere. We took Bjorn any place he could go. Home Depot, Sunday brunch. There's a lot of outdoor malls here, the beach. Come prepared. I always and still do travel with bowls for food, water, always have extra food stored, carry a bone for them to chew on, and the least obnoxious toy just to always have on hand. Also, pickup bags are a must. Never, ever leave the house with pickup bags, but have everything they could possibly need to keep them occupied, but take them out as many places as you can. I think that's so important in socializing a dog, not only for other dogs, but for other people as well. Learning that there are going to be different kinds of people out in the world. There are going to be tall people. There are going to be short people. Let them experience everything, really. And the cool thing about that is that it's also an opportunity to help educate other people while you're with your puppy. If somebody tried to pet Bjorn without asking, I would never, ever allow it. I still don't. I don't like that. It makes me a little bit nervous. But when people do ask, especially kids, it's a really good opportunity to say, absolutely, can you just wait for him to sit? He's learning how to sit, right? And it kind of ingrains that in the people that you come across. Oh, I need to wait until they're relaxed, because then it prevents bad habits from forming. The last thing I want is Bjorn thinking that just because someone looks at him and goes, oh, what a cute dog, he can start jumping and he can kind of get what he wants. So it's like this really cool, well-rounded situation that I had a lot of fun with. We had a lot of kids that would always come up to Bjorn and want to pet him, and we would say, oh, you absolutely can. You can give him a treat too, but you've got to make him shake for it. You've got to make him do a trick first. And
right.
I'd like to think that was me contributing.
Yeah. And I was going to say that you don't want kids just running up and trying to pet him, catching him off guard. And I know Bjorn wouldn't do this, but some dogs will nip or they'll show some type of aggression. And, that kid is scared for life, maybe. So we want to prevent those situations from happening by making sure the dog is sitting, relaxed, open to touch, open to new experiences, and then allowing that positive experience to happen.
Exactly. And that was something that we were really worried about as he grew up and got bigger. He's a very, very sweet dog, but for whatever reason, the fact that he's darker colored just really stresses people out. He looks more like a wolf than a teddy bear. And we just had these horrible visions of it just going to take one small thing and people are going to think he's some vicious dog.
Yeah, and with Birdie, she's very good in public, just naturally, and didn't really work too much with her. We didn't even go to puppy school, so she's had no education whatsoever. So I think, but with her just coming with me to a lot of different places, like you mentioned earlier, Home Depot is a great place to take your dog, especially in the garden area. Gives me an opportunity to go there and buy more plants, of course. But Home Depot and sometimes other department stores like Hobby Lobby are very friendly. So I would choose a time where it's not very busy. I definitely don't want to go there when it's super, super busy and, I'm checking out and the cashiers have to deal with me and my dog and my items. So definitely try to find an off time to go and try to make sure your dog stays with you, understands that, you know, he or she is following you, and just like the basic etiquette of how to be in public and not embarrass your mom.
Yes. And it's going to happen. Your dogs are going to have accidents in stores. They're going to bark. They're going to misbehave. It's not indicative of how you are as a dog parent. It's not indicative of if your dog is well behaved or not. I think that's something else to point out. Like it's going to happen.
Right. For sure.
But just training them to make sure it doesn't happen often is the key. And then as we kind of wrap up some of our tips and tricks and speaking points, one of my favorite things, and I didn't realize this was so novel. I thought it was pretty common. I didn't think I was super original in it, but everyone's very excited when I tell them this. Carrots were our best friend when Bjorn was teething. We would buy carrots in bulk, put them in the freezer, and just put him on the patio, and he would just gnaw on this frozen carrot. It's good for them. It's obviously not an unhealthy treat, but because it's frozen and it's got this perfect shape where he would just kind of shove it to the back of his teeth that really, really hurt. And I've told friends about this who have come back to me and said it was the greatest thing. And the other beautiful thing about it is you can get carrots based on the size of your dog too. They have really, really large ones, and then they have smaller ones that are going to be better for smaller dogs' mouths. But everybody I've recommended this to has had nothing but good things to say. So carrots. I guess you could do bananas too, probably, but that seems like a lot of sugar.
Yeah, I haven't tried it really, so maybe I'll try this weekend with Birdie.
She's not teething.
Yeah, but she likes to chew on things. She loves to go crazy for those deer antlers. So maybe this will be something different that she can enjoy on the patio when we're, you know, relaxing out there or having dinner. So definitely try it.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear it. And then lastly, I would say take pictures with them. I am the photographer in our family, so I was the one taking most of the pictures. I have pictures of Bjorn with Nico, of Bjorn with the cats, with my mom, with people in the office, and I could probably count on one hand how many pictures I have with him as a puppy. And I think that's probably one thing that I regret, not posed photo shoots, but even just simply taking selfies. I was so worried about making sure he wasn't having accidents and running after him, making sure he was sitting and behaving. I feel like I captured so many of his fun moments and I was just erased from that history. So take the pictures. If you don't look good, if you don't have makeup on, it doesn't matter. They don't have to be Instagram worthy, but have pictures of the silly things, even if they're doing something wrong that you don't want them to do, but it's funny. Take a picture before you reprimand them, because those are some of the funniest pictures that I have.
That's so true.
Where he's just doing something absolutely terrible and you're like, excuse me, I can see you tearing that up. Could you stop, please? But yeah, just remember to live in the moment and capture as much as you can. It goes by so fast.
Yeah. I think I'm on the opposite end where I took way too many pictures, and if you look through my camera roll at the time, it's just my dogs in the same position, but like 45 pictures of them looking opposite ways, you know, Birdie looking in the camera and then Kramer looking in the camera and then they look away. So I have way too many photos, but I love them because, you know, every year you go through your phone and they have the memories. And it's just so fun how much they have grown in the 1 year that it's crazy, you know. And you can really remember, like as you said, you should always take photos of the unphotogenic times too, because those are like the funny times, and you can really look at those photos and take you back, right? To all
and it
those
reminds you
times.
how far you've come too, and how much they've learned. And
For sure.
and don't be like Ashley, and be comfortable being in the photos.
I still like have to crop myself out if I'm like posting a Birdie puppy photo, because I just look terrible. I'm always in like pajamas and then my hair is all frizzled, and
It's that puppy flu. That puppy flu life.
yes.
But I think living in the moment and remembering at the end of the day it's okay to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect. Your puppy's not going to be perfect. And again, I spent some of the youngest parts of Bjorn's life making sure that he was the model citizen. And I know he had an amazing time as a puppy, but I wish I'd been able to let loose a little bit and just remember to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are you working with Bjorn now?
Well, he is working on riding his bicycle, or not riding his bicycle. He's working on riding on the bike with me. That's been a big one. And I'm trying to get him to speak. It was an easy one for Stella to pick up. It hasn't been a super easy one for Bjorn to pick up. He is super chatty, super chatty. So I just need to learn. I need to learn how to teach him to speak so I can tell him to stop speaking.
I just watched a video by Zach George the other day, and one of his new videos is about doing that. So should give it a watch.
I need to check that out. Yeah, that's his big one. He's been really great. Again, we took down his crate, so he doesn't have that security blanket anymore, but he doesn't really get sectioned off. I used to keep him in the hallway and our master bedroom. If we went out, he would roam free in those areas, and now he just has free range of the house, and quarantine's been good for him. He's learned quite a bit, and he's settled down quite a bit. Not that he was ever crazy, but he's even a bigger couch potato now.
Yeah, I feel like my dogs are definitely couch potatoes. They sleep so much. And, we always think about puppies having a lot of energy, but I feel like she doesn't have that much energy right now. She has like 2 bursts a day, and then the rest of the time she's just like sleeping.
Oh, I wish. I'll trade you.
I think she just loves to be pampered and she loves to be comfortable. So she's like, I don't really want to run anymore. She'll run like 2 laps and she's like, I'm good.
She's a queen. What are you working on with the dogs?
Oh, okay. Well, we just taught her how to play dead. So we would say bang and she would go on her back. It's still a work in progress because she's like super worried about not doing it correctly.
Oh.
Yeah, she's just like very timid about doing it, but she knows how to do it and she usually can do it on the first try. So we've kind of mastered that. Looked into speaking as well. That's why I watched the video, because I want her to speak on command, and she does this like funny mooing sound that I want her to do on command. But it's definitely hard to do that. And
but well worth it.
Yeah, for sure. I taught my old dog how to shake. You know that shaking that they do after they get wet? I taught my dog how to do that before he came into the house to, get rid of like all the hair on his body so that took maybe 4 years or so. So I would just try it every single time before he came into the house, and after like 4 or 5 years, he finally started doing it on command. So I don't know if I can get her to do that too.
I'm just going to send Bjorn to your house and you can teach him all the cute tricks.
Yeah, it's just a nice trick, but nobody can see it because he only does it when we go inside the house. So I can't really, it's not like a party trick, but it is just like a fun thing that, only we know. And another thing that we're working on is definitely still leash etiquette. We live in a really lush, hilly neighborhood, so there's a lot of deer and birds. So yesterday we saw a deer in someone's driveway, and I'm teaching her not to lunge and pull me over because she's very strong. So it's going well so far. I think she's definitely stopped lunging. She'll be really alert when she sees these animals, but then she won't run after them. So that's something that we're actively working on every single day.
That's a lifelong struggle with Bjorn too. They're just so curious and they just get overwhelmed with these emotions of I have to have that. I have to get right in that bird's face.
And now she'll kind of lunge a little bit, but it's like 1 or 2 steps where I can catch up, or there's enough slack in the leash that it won't pull me over. But it's just their natural instinct, right? They want to chase after it. So it's a work in progress, and I'm not trying to have her perfect right now, but it's just something that we work with every single day. And another thing that I'm working on is when we come home, like she will jump all over me and scratch my arms, and she'll like bite my hair. And you know this too because she does the exact same thing to you.
She does.
And it's so uncomfortable, especially when you're wearing like a nice shirt or something, or she was like in the yard so her feet are dirty, or you're carrying groceries and she's just like clawing at your bags. So that's something that we are working on, but it's almost near impossible. I don't even know how to do that. So if you guys have any tips, let me know because I do need them. I got
really lucky with Bjorn and coming home. Coming home to Bjorn is my absolute favorite thing about him, honestly. I don't know where he learned this. I don't know if he's studying our facial expressions. He smiles at us when we come home.
Yes, he does. I know
he
that
walks
smile.
up super slow. He wags his tail and then he sits down, looks up at you, and his face just curls up. And initially, I remember telling friends and family, and it was always, Ashley, dogs don't smile. He either stressed out or whatever. This dog smiles. I'll have to try to get it on camera or send you a picture to post. But it makes me so happy. I don't know what I did. Those are the times when I look at him and I don't know what I did to deserve him. We didn't teach him not to jump. Well, we probably did teach him not to jump, but not in a very formal capacity. He just never really has. But the smiles I live for.
Yeah, it's definitely been a struggle for us because, you know, she just it gets so excited. Her whole body just like convulses. And it's so cute, but we definitely have to work on it.
But at least she doesn't chew up shoes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's just like pros and cons to each dog. So I'll just take what I can get.
I think she's still perfect.
Oh, you always say that. That's why she loves you, because you think she's perfect and a princess.
She is a princess. I love her to death. But I would love to hear some of our listeners' experiences with puppies, what they would have done differently, what they wish they had known, and also what was the most insightful thing that you learned today. I think that's also important too, right? What we've shared that was kind of an eye-opener, because that's important. A lot of times people don't talk about certain things, and it's always helpful to know.
Yeah, let us know what else you want to learn about, what else you want us to talk about, because we definitely take requests.
We do. And if you want to boop that follow button, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Dog Mom Podcast, and our website at www.zippypaws.com/Dog Mom Podcast.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.